A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the UCLA Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, mainly because it's our favorite place to be. Get to come on down, watch all kinds of sports on the TVs down here. Of course, Major League Baseball playoff action continuing. We have lots of football action starting tonight with the Thursday night game and rolling right through the weekend. Some good matchups this Saturday, but nothing like we're going to see a week from Saturday. We'll touch on that as the program unfolds this morning or this afternoon. And then on Sunday and Monday, of course, NFL football rolls your way as well. And we'll touch on all of that as today's program unfolds.
I just realized earlier, I'm a freaking Steelers fan again this week.
Yeah, you are.
Damn it.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, it didn't help. I didn't help you out
Lots
last
of room
2
on the
months.
bandwagon, my man.
Did I help you too much last week?
It did not.
No. So I'll probably be the same damn thing this week.
Looking for the...
Maybe I'll just go Ironhead and just mush and just say I'm a Cowboys fan this week and the Steelers will get a W.
Steelers to come up big on Sunday night. Again, we are at Quaker Steak and Lube. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. And lo and behold, dear Goon.
Is that a son?
Is that what it is?
Not your
I've been
son.
trying to
That's
figure it
the
out.
son, I think.
That is the son. Capital T, capital S-U-N. Yeah, it's kind of cool to have it out. Took a while for the fog to burn off in the area this morning, but yeah, it has turned into a gorgeous day. And this is pretty much what we're expecting throughout the weekend. And this will be very welcome news for folks coming in for the noon kickoff against UCLA on Saturday. And let's start there, Goon, because this UCLA team is not good. I think it'll be interesting to see. Deshaun Foster, I think, is trying to lay the groundwork. I will say it doesn't seem like they are giving up on one another to this point, although they have struggled in the second halves of games. And that does not bode well against a Penn State team that has really come out and dominated the third quarter really all season long. And the one thing, not the one thing, one of the things that this coaching staff has done is a very good job of making halftime adjustments. And Penn State has consistently come out and, again, just walloped opponents in the third quarter this season. And
that was one of our gripes about the last few years, if you recall.
Yeah.
We weren't making those halftime adjustments.
So this UCLA team, again, comes in struggling overall. And then Ethan Garber's their starting quarterback. I have not seen the report today. I don't know if there is a report yet today, but he has not practiced Monday through Wednesday this week. Would seem unlikely that he would then go on Saturday. You've missed, all but the final couple of walkthrough basically opportunities for UCLA. And just square up, this is not a game that bodes well for UCLA, just a more talented Penn State team, a Nittany Lion squad that comes in undefeated. UCLA comes in at 1-3, having lost 3 in a row. But then you start adding in all of the other factors, Goon, the cross-country travel for UCLA, Penn State getting to be at home. I think the noon kickoff, while it's early for Penn State, it is 9 a.m. Pacific time for the Bruins and their players and fans. I worry a little bit about Penn State maybe coming out a little slow just because of the atmosphere Saturday night, and it was a big win over Illinois and all of that, the celebration of the 94 team and everything else. But I think even if this team gets off to a slower start in that first quarter, it's just hard to envision the scenario where this is a competitive game when the fourth quarter rolls around.
You know what I can tell? Go on Facebook, go on Twitter. How many people are, hey, I'm not going to be able to make the game this weekend? I have seen a lot of that.
Yeah, and so
That's
a couple of things about that.
Week.
One thing I would just encourage you is if you have kiddos, and mine will be camping this weekend,
Absolutely.
so he's not heading up. But if you do have kiddos and you're like, man, I'd like to get them up to a game, you should be able to get tickets relatively cheaply and relatively easily.
I agree with
this weekend. And again, it is going to be a beautiful day. It's a noon kickoff. You'll be home even if you're from an outlying area by 6 or 7. And so if you have the chance and you're looking to get a kiddo up to a game this year, boy, this is probably a really good one. And you're virtually guaranteed seeing a Nittany Lions victory to boot. So celebration all the way around.
I mean, I just thought about this, and it was Wednesday before I recovered from Saturday. Not because it was like my reunion or anything like that, but just in general.
Yeah.
If you went to that game, you waited in line, and to get home, you got home, even if you were local, after midnight.
Yeah. How about 1 a.m.? Getting out of the parking lot was, man.
So I'm just saying, a lot of people are like, this Thursday, and they're looking at their husband, looking at their wives, and saying, you know what? It's UCLA. We're good. Let's try to sell the tickets. And I'm saying what you just said is that anybody with kids, pack the kids up and come on up, because I think tickets are going to be pretty easy to get.
Yeah.
It's a UCLA game. It's the first time for them ever. I don't recall. Have we ever played them?
Yes, the 1960s.
Okay.
Yep, 1960s. I think. So Penn State is 2-4 all time against UCLA.
What?
I think all 6 games were in the 60s. I want to say they. I can look that up, but I think I'm right about that. It was like 62 through 68.
I don't remember 80s or 90s at all.
That they played, and. Yeah, so Penn State has only defeated them twice. This is the first time in 7 years that UCLA or thereabouts that UCLA is making the trip to University Park / State College
about that trip,
for the game. Yeah, go ahead.
Now imagine being my size, and even if you're in a first-class seat, you're still sitting in a chair for 5 or 6 hours. From LA, and it is, even if it's they're not flying commercial, they'll fly private.
No, they'll
have a big old jet going, but there's not all first class seating. So I mean, these guys are going to be scrunched into those seats for a 5 or 6 hour flight getting from LA to State College. That's no cake. You're going to be sore. Like when we played in the West Coast with the old man, we would leave Thursday night. So I would like to know what UCLA's schedule is. Do you know when they're coming in?
I don't know that for sure.
About that?
I'm sure they
have. We played BYU, we played SC out there. We went out Thursday night.
Yeah.
And tried to acclimate a little bit.
You would think, I will look that up here while we're talking. I guess I am presuming that they are on their way out today or maybe already here.
Okay.
I can't imagine, in particular because it is a noon kickoff. Under any circumstance, that makes sense to me.
They're not getting here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon like you would for a normal Big Ten game, like a Michigan State comes in. They're here in the afternoon on Friday. I mean, they would have had it left.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're just coming in Friday and then going to get up.
Think about it.
Again, to get over to
lose 3 hours. That's an 8-hour difference.
To get over to the stadium and to go through. I mean, they'll be up at 5 a.m. their time. Right? That's going to be about right. 8 a.m. to get everything going, get your breakfast, and then get over to the stadium. That is, I don't want to overstate it. I don't want to make it sound like, man, this is impossible and Herculean task. Again, this is a mismatch on paper, just talent-wise, experience, everything else. But when you throw into it this component, the travel and the early kickoff, it is a Herculean task, I guess, the overall situation here for UCLA. Again, I think college students, and I don't know, maybe you can remember your playing days better, right? They're pretty pretty good at making
resilient
adjustments, and like
everybody's got different sleep schedules. Some guys are up late, some guys are in bed early. I mean, but like at
for one
midnight
game
here,
Sunday
or Saturday morning, so 12:01 a.m. It's only 9 o'clock for them.
Yep,
and they got to be up. They be ready to be playing 9 and 12 hours from. I mean, it's just weird. I really think, and that's the thing that I'm sure these Big Ten coaches are going to start talking to each other. Like, hey, what did you do? How did you guys have anything? Like, I don't know. Is James friendly with anybody on another team, or he could call and say, hey, what did you guys do for the UCLA trip? What do you guys do for the USC, Oregon, Washington?
Yeah.
Are they talking out there? What is Washington going to call US or UCLA on Monday and say, hey, what did you guys do? How did you guys travel? What time did you get there? Or is everybody going to be different? Yeah, I mean, we knew this going in with the new Big Ten. The structure of it, the whole thing, how it was set up was it's going to be a work in progress with how these guys travel. And I think the football ones are easy. We're easy. I mean, we're told when to play a couple weeks before, but like basketball, I just found out today USC has girls lacrosse. I didn't know they even had lacrosse on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not know USC.
My buddy called me and says, hey, my daughter plays at SC. And I was like, what? I said, I thought your daughter played lacrosse. And he goes, yeah, they play at Penn State in April. I said, holy crap, I didn't know that. I didn't know the West Coast teams had lacrosse. But I mean, to go back to it, everybody is going to be different. I mean, some guys may want to come in later tonight. I don't know. And just be like, let's stay on our time. It's just so weird, the big old time difference. And now this is the conference. So we have two teams coming and doing this. We have to go to SC next week. I don't know what James's plan is for us next week. I really don't. It's a little bit easier for us out in the West Coast because it's gonna be a 3:30 game for us.
Right.
Physically, that's your biological clock.
Yeah.
That sounded a little weird, but your biological clock is saying, hey, it's midnight, you should be sleeping, when in actuality it's 3 a.m. for a West Coast team coming in and vice versa for an East Coast team going out west. But we knew that these were going to be struggles going into this with the four new conference members. It will be interesting to see how UCLA does come out. Are they? And I want to see what they say afterwards, how they react afterwards. It's like, wow, this was crazy. It could be, again, 9 o'clock in the morning for them. They might not wake up until the second quarter. They might not be ready to go. They might just still be. And I know you're just saying that. They're just words, but no, I mean, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Who is ready to play football at 9 o'clock in the morning? I mean, it's a brutal thing to think about, but I mean, this is the reality that they're going to deal with, and we're going to have to deal with out there. But everything's a work in progress. We're going to see. I mean, I've always said James and Joe, they have seen a lot. I mean, James has been a head coach for a long time, not just here. He's got 14, 15 years. I mean, he's probably traveled to the West Coast before when he was with Vanderbilt. I don't know. I don't know who he trusts in the coaching ranks to call them, but I know how the old man handled it. We would leave Thursday, so I don't know if we're going to do it. UCLA might be here already. I don't know. I don't know how you would find that out.
I'm just doing some digging. Well, they would know that we'll find it here. I can't imagine that they aren't in today.
Oh, and I wonder where this area. I don't know where the teams are staying. Are they mostly still staying at the Ramada? Are they moving out to the?
I believe
the golf course type of thing. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Oh, there's a question for you. If you're here Thursday and Friday, is that considered 2 nights? For your mandatory 2-night hotel stay?
Oh, there you go.
Is that considered 2 nights? I don't know. Saturday night doesn't count. No, but it's going to be a tough one for UCLA. It truly is. But I think it's going to be a tough one for us too, because we do have that big win last week in front of the NBC crowd, a whiteout in State College at nighttime. Absolute mayhem going on. Great game, great win, everything about it. Do we come out a little slow because it's going to be not as loud? It's not going to be as ruckus. I hope our guys are ready to play. I hope the staff has them ready to go. Just jump on. jump them on you fast as we can, and keep your foot on their throat, keep the foot on the gas pedal, and go from there. I think that's a pretty good damn way to go about this business and beating UCLA this week.
Well, for Penn State, the focus, aside from obviously taking care of business and winning the game, but they've got to get these pre-snap penalties cleaned up. And I don't know how you go about it. I'm really interested to see what Penn State does with the field goal kicking, because the reason Sahadak has been out there is he's been the more consistent player in practice. So you say, well, this is an important week. We got to see. Well, if I don't know at this point that it much matters at the end of the day who's doing better in practice. I think you almost have to see if somebody else responds better in a game situation. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Or do you just, if Sahadak wins the job in practice,
because there are PTPers and there are guys who practice very well, or they need a little bit of pressure out there. And do we give backup kickers a shot this week and say, hey, it's your turn to go kick. Let's see how they go. Or do they go and practice and try to put the pressure on them? If you just think about the kicker in general, and I know I'm hard on kickers. I'm not a fan of them, this and that. But you don't realize how good you have it until you don't have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. You mean when the Steelers have Boswell. So there's a guy who's as automatic as you get right there. So
been pretty darn good.
Exactly. So it's like, you got the guaranteed 3 points and this and that when you get into that red zone type of thing. Where right now, it's sort of, if you don't have a kicker like that, you sort of are skeptical when it goes into your game planning and your play calling a little bit too, if you don't have complete faith in your kickers. But as a fan, you take them for granted. I know I do. Just do your job. Kick the ball through the freaking uprights, and you can't do that. I'm going to bitch and complain, of course, like everybody else. But you don't realize that you have a really good one until you don't have a good one, and then you go back and you're like, wow, I was really impressed with we had it pretty good for a while,
for sure.
Yeah.
And the issue, I guess, it's going to be interesting to see, because I don't think you want to give up on a player who is committed to you and who, again, from all accounts, Sahadak and talking to people, and in particular, Mark Brennan has mentioned, and this even goes back to last year, that there's a different sound. Like he's Sahadak, when he kicks it, you're like, oh, that just seems different. So it's not a question of the power, the whether he has the leg, but obviously if you're not accurate with it, that leg doesn't do you any good. It's like a quarterback with the strongest arm in the world. He can throw it 80 yards downfield, but if he can't hit the receiver, that doesn't do you any good. So it's a dilemma, because, again, I don't think you want to give up on Sahadak. I also, though, you have 3 kickers on your roster. I don't think you want to keep running them out there when you're not getting the results. Again, he's one of 4 for field goals this year, and that is a huge concern. To me, it almost becomes more problematic if you do put somebody else out there and they then miss a field goal. Let's say against UCLA. Well, then what do you go to the 3rd kicker then against UCLA or against USC? Do you go back to Sahadak? Is it just, man, we're going to see who practices best during the week? But again, that is fraught with its own problems. And it is. It's just a dilemma. And I don't know that there's a right answer or wrong answer. Obviously, if they send somebody out and they connect on the field goal, then that's going to be the right answer. And if they send somebody out and they miss the field goal and this remains a problem, it's going to be the wrong answer. But I don't really know at the end of the day. To me, what the proper coaching decision is. Part of it is probably just a feel right now, like, man, it's just, hey, Sahadak missed some, but man, we know he's going to come through and we're okay. Or, this is so much in his head now that we've got to get somebody else out there. And listen, Chase Meyer was the accuracy at Tulsa was great with him. I think he only missed 2 field goals all of last season. So I don't know. I'm fascinated to see if Penn State sends the field goal unit out against UCLA.
One word,
who goes out there. And that's the other thing. If early in the game, let's say you get down to the 35 and you've been moving the ball well, but then, maybe you get a drop pass and just off the fingertips on another, and you're facing, let's say 3rd and 5 at the 35-yard line. If you're James Franklin, do you get the unit out there because, man, we got to see what we have here? Or is the confidence such that it's like, nope, we know we're the better team here, we're going to go for it? And that is going to be interesting to me to see if those decisions do come about, what Penn State does decide, what the coaches decide to do in those potential situations on Saturday against UCLA.
One word. Kickers.
Well, I don't think you want to go into the USC game.
No, you want to have something. You want a little confidence in your guy.
Yeah. Now, that being said, again, you want to be able to finish off drives against UCLA. So, on one hand, I almost wonder if you get later in the game and if the game goes as most are projecting and Penn State has it in hand, do you maybe just try to call off the horses at least a little bit to see if hey, let's get a field goal attempt out here and see if we can. But again, it can backfire because if you send that second guy out and he misses a relative, let's say, hey, yeah, we're down here and it's a 30-yard field goal, send him out just to get a little confidence, and he misses it. Well, then, my gosh, you're going to USC with just a huge question mark hanging over your program.
Kickers. No, I think about this because what do they say on Tuesday about the field the other night? The stagnant, dead humidity air that was out there.
Yeah.
I wonder if that played into it at all.
Well,
it had been raining the day a little bit. The field was swampy. It was definitely dewy, definitely wet being out on it.
Yep.
I can definitely say that for sure. But the field was a little bit swampy, a little bit soupy, and the air was not in there where you could see maybe he slipped a little bit because it was not a very, very gripping turf at that point. And I'm just making excuses for the guy right now. I mean, there's just possibilities that are out there.
No, it's
it's going to be a big thing. It's not a big thing until it is a big thing. Does that sound right? I mean, we could talk about it all we want, but until it actually comes back to bite us in the butt, and then it's going to be like, damn. Anybody who bet Penn State last week -18 was very upset with our kicking performance last week because they would have covered if they had kicked there too. So,
yeah,
kickers, Jeff, kickers.
Well,
kickers,
but again,
kickers.
it's an important component of the game,
Sure
and you certainly have the feeling. Now, it could play out. I've been reading and listening to some things, and listen, I expect at some point you're going to need the field goal. That isn't necessarily it's not an automatic that, my gosh, you absolutely are going to have a clutch kickoff at some point. It feels likely. I think you certainly want that component in your overall game so that you feel confident and good about it. Man, if we need the 3 points, we have it. But listen, it is possible that this season plays out and it's like, well, yeah, it's a bummer we missed all of those field goals, but it didn't come back to haunt you. That is possible. I think it is less likely the deeper you get into the season, the less likely that scenario plays out, the more good teams you play, i.e., if you get to the playoffs. Sure. Hard to imagine that at some point, nope, wait, we just don't need those 3 points.
Ohio State last year in a playoff game.
Well, the other part of it is if this offense, it definitely can change the way you play. What you're seeing from this offense does give you some optimism that, okay, if on a 4th and 2, we have to go for it at the 30-yard line against an Ohio State or another playoff team, because we don't feel confident that we're going to get a 47-yard field goal. I will say with this offense and with the personnel and everything, even against, an Ohio State or an Alabama, yeah, I like Penn State's chances of getting a 2-yard conversion when they need it. But, boy, you'd feel a lot better if, we'll take the 3 points because we know it's a sure 3 points. Not that you ever know. No. Even with a great place kicker, there's no such thing as a sure anything in football.
What do you think a Division I kicker? What do you think is automatic?
Well, again,
50 and in, 40 and in.
Automatic is clearly overstated
because
even the best kickers will occasionally miss. But you should be 40 and in.
I agree.
You should feel really good.
50 and in the NFL, days, 40 and in the college.
Yeah, these days, really, if you're not able to make it from 45 in at the collegiate level, I'm talking about, you are at a pretty substantial disadvantage from teams that can. And I think most teams can, certainly most contending teams, feel pretty good 45 in. Yep, we're going to. And I think the disappointment from the fans' perspective, and undoubtedly from the coaching perspective as well, you have 3 kickers on this team. You are a program that has been a top 10 program for over a decade. You have to be able to find, again, and I'm not putting this at the feet of James Franklin. I think they do still at the moment. But we're however far into the season we are, and you don't have confidence. One of the 3 kickers, you've got to be able to get to the point where you can send out there and feel pretty confident. 45 in, this is going through the uprights. And the truth is, even if, let's say they do go to either of the other 2 kickers and they go 3 for 3 against UCLA in field goals, I'm just speaking for me. I'm not going to be overly confident that, okay, man, that is completely, because again, whoever it is, there is a reason that Sahedek has been the guy to this point. And it is because Sahedek has been outperforming the other 2 in practice. Now, as you said, sometimes there are guys that just shine brightest when the big stage is there. Nice. I will certainly feel better about it if we get a field goal made and don't have any misses, regardless of who it is on Saturday. But I think it's going to be a bit of a concern no matter what happens from here on out the rest of the season. Like, I don't think you're just make a couple of field goals here, maybe even get a clutch one against USC and say, all right, man, 100% we have no concerns about that moving forward this season. Certainly feel better, and I'm okay with the idea of feeling better.
By the way, speaking of practice, have we found Nick Singleton?
I think
that's just as alarming a thing as I've ever heard.
I think he is on the hunt for the Joe Paterno statue. He has gone looking for the Paterno statue.
Have they made a release or anything?
Where is
that's crazy,
Nicholas Singleton? It's going to be the game of the week here in Happy.
It's very odd. He did a Zoom yesterday, interviews and all that, but then was not at practice. And then Franklin said that you've wasted a question asking that. I don't know what that even meant. Was he at a class? To just say he's at a class. Was he at something? I don't know. I don't get. It's just weird.
It's a lot of people wondering.
Yeah.
A lot of people wondering.
Maybe he's the kicker. He's the missing link that we're looking for.
They didn't want to show off his kicking prowess with others.
Weird. I hope he's okay. I hope he just missed because of a reason, obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
So it is what it is. But it's just a very odd thing to hear.
It was strange.
Senior star Heisman Trophy possibility running back. We can't find him.
Take a break here. Sir. We are coming back with more. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube ahead of Penn State and UCLA. Again, a noon kickoff on Saturday. We'll talk some other college football games and news as we continue right here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show from Quaker Steak and Lube.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on this Thursday afternoon as we get ready for another big weekend of football here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We'll have Center County Red Zone rolling your way tomorrow night, week 7 already of the high school football season. And we'll have all of the Center County coverage for you from 7 to 10 tomorrow night. It'll be Scott Giese and Zach Sako manning our studio coverage of tomorrow's action. And then we have a college football doubleheader on Saturday for you, and then we'll have an NFL tripleheader for you on Sunday. Do want to zero in a little bit on some of the college action this weekend, and certainly the following week is the week that a lot of people are
It's crazy how people have been talking about this for 6 months.
Yes, on their calendar as a must-see weekend for college football. This weekend, not as much, certainly, but I do think there's some interesting games and certainly some games that Penn State fans will want to keep an eye on. And again, Penn State, UCLA, noon kickoff, advantage Penn State with the kickoff time, and advantage in pretty much every other conceivable way you can break down that game with the Bruins. Penn State is just a overwhelming favorite. I know they're 4 touchdowns, but with the quarterback issue, the injury issue, and all of the other things going in to it, I have a hard time finding a way that UCLA keeps this even within that 4 touchdown margin on Saturday. The one thing I guess that I do think the Bruins maybe have working in their favor, and it is a capital M maybe, is Penn State could be a little hungover from the Illinois game. Again, it was a fantastic atmosphere. It was a big win over a ranked, undefeated opponent, all of that. And the atmosphere is not going to be all that on Saturday. Now, hopefully the fans come out and if not bring whiteout energy, at least bring some energy to the stadium with them.
Well, it starts with the students.
But yes,
you're the first to admit that, as I am. I mean,
but
it starts
is
with them, and they need to be there at noon. And that's the problem with them.
Been a tough thing.
It's been a very hard thing.
Yep, noon kickoffs are not good in that regard, and then that's the other part of it. It is a noon kickoff, and although that's not 9 a.m., it's an early kick, and it's sometimes difficult to get that energy level up and all of that. But even if you take that best case scenario for UCLA, that, yep, Penn State is a little hungover, a little lethargic at the start here coming out, you would think Penn State will have an easier time finding its rhythm and getting back into the flow of it as the game goes on, because it is home, because the fans are going to be providing energy to whatever level they do for the Nittany Lions. And so it's still, you would think, again, over 4 quarters, this is going to play out in Penn State's favor on Saturday. But in terms of keeping it within 4 touchdowns, I suppose if Penn State does come out and struggles, it's just, I think, Goon, that the coaching staff is recognizing that potential scenario. And I think Penn State I think they are going to come out firing on offense. Now, the defense, I guess, maybe could come out a little sleepy, but again, you're talking about a 1-3 UCLA team that is likely either going to be without its starting quarterback, and that's what I'm expecting, or will have a quarterback who is making a cross-country trip, having not practiced at all, presuming they are arriving today at all while back at home at UCLA in preparation for this game. Yep. And you can study film, you can do all of that. That's a tough ask of a quarterback, period, let alone a quarterback of a 1-3 team that has struggled anyway, regardless of injury or no injury.
Did you, I just pointed it out to you, there was this came across. Did you know that Mike is out this week?
Parsons, yes.
Okay, so that was released earlier. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, we knew it was questionable with the high ankle sprain, but today,
he's out.
Yes, this afternoon.
That's huge.
It's welcome news for the Steelers for
Absolutely.
Sure. It's not good news for Micah Parsons, and certainly for the Cowboys.
Our Steelers, it's great.
But if he's going to miss, if he's going to miss a game, let it be this one.
Sorry,
I'm okay with it.
ADD'd you, but I didn't know if you knew that. But it's about our Steelers, so I was all kinds of jacked.
No, I know that you are, and we welcome you aboard.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, let's do a little better job this week.
Don't let me down again.
So, a couple of games to keep an eye on. We will have that Missouri at Texas A&M game for you, and I think Missouri is. We were talking. I think actually it was the week you were in Carolina. Booch and I were talking, but we were going through. And if it wasn't, it might have been on Jim Galani's show. They all kind of run together now, but we're talking about SEC contenders, and I think I mentioned 4 or 5 that I thought had a really good shot at the playoffs, and I didn't mention Missouri. And they're like, "Well, what about Missouri?" I'm like, I don't think they're that
get into
good.
them. It's weird, right?
Well, I think we're going to see, and I don't think this is a great Texas A&M team by any stretch. I do think A&M will win this game at home against Missouri on Saturday. I think this Missouri team, it's not that I think they're an awful football team, but they were ranked 6th for a while there. I don't think they will end up being a playoff team. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're a team that's going to end up in the top 10 or even top 12 of the AP or coaches polls. And certainly once we get into the playoff rankings, I don't think they'll be there.
They're 5 in the country, and you don't think they're going to – you think they're pretty much a fraud.
I don't think they're that good.
I know what you're saying,
I
but
don't.
Wow, that's pretty damn unbelievable.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Again, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, Florida State was ranked 10th at one point this season.
Preseason rankings are stupid. And we have talked about them, not that enough. You don't know anything about anybody because everything is changing.
Yeah, I mean it's guesswork. I don't mind them. I just think you need to be ready to adjust.
Michigan is number 1 in the country because they're the defending national champ. Yeah. That's not how it works. No, but Missouri. I mean, the only game they struggled to beat BC and Bill O'Brien. Yeah, that's the game that jumped out at me. I mean, BC. Yeah, Bill's got these guys working and they're playing very, very hard. They're 4-1. But Missouri, you're 5 in the country. You shouldn't be hanging in there with Boston College and having to win late in the game. So I think you might be on to something because it's just, what's the odder team do you see in the top 5? Was it Ole Miss or Missouri?
See, I think Ole Miss, even with that loss to Kentucky, I think Kentucky is better than what many of us. I'm really curious to see. Yeah, I'm curious to see how Kentucky's season plays out here as well now. But
that's a good call.
So I still think Ole Miss is a playoff team and is one of the better teams. Exactly where, I don't know, but them at 5 makes a lot more sense to me than Missouri. And I think we'll see that play out
it's just like that
at the end of the year.
One knows.
Well, it's not even, it's just, I don't think defensively they are as good as a lot of those top contending teams. And I know the quarterback gets a lot of praise, and I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the country. I think they're a little less. Again, it's not that I think they're an awful team and that it's a disgrace that they're ranked that highly. I just think as this season plays out, they're going to come back to earth a little bit, and I think there'll be a 3 or 4 loss team when it's all said and done, which there's no shame in that when you're playing in the SEC. Not at all. But I think that's where they're going to end up. But and I'm being told that Las Vegas has just seen a lot of money come in on Missouri going undefeated now.
I'm waiting for that.
In this 2024 campaign. It's a virtual lock, says one.
Oh, lordy dordy.
So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. The team that I think is in for the roughest Saturday of the Power 4 conferences, I guess now, is Auburn. Auburn goes to Georgia, and I think this is a Georgia team that is going to be very angry, very ready to make some sort of a statement coming off the lost Alabama. And you combine that with the fact that this is not a very good Auburn team. I think that game is going to be ugly.
2-3, it's Auburn. They were favored in all 5 games, and they're 2-3.
We will have that game for you after our post-game show here on Saturday as well. We'll join that one in progress. Manny Diaz and Duke, by the way, are undefeated. They go to Georgia Tech. I think they win that one, although that's going to be an interesting watch as well. That Georgia Tech team is still a squad, I think, worth keeping an eye on here this season. And then USC and Minnesota will square off here on Saturday night. Obviously, if you're a Penn State fan, you're going to want to keep an eye on that because want to see exactly what USC has. Again, I mentioned on Tuesday that I think it was ESPN that said of the remaining games on the Penn State schedule, obviously Ohio State, the toughest remaining opponent. I think that's probably universally agreed upon. USC, the second toughest opponent remaining on the schedule. But then I think it's very debatable as to who the third best opponent is on that schedule. ESPN had it as Minnesota, which that game is out at Minnesota. I think it's actually Washington. I think Washington is substantially better than I thought they were going to be at the start of the season. Again, not a playoff team. None of the remaining teams on Penn State's schedule outside of Ohio State and USC are playoff contending programs here this season. But I think Washington will be the toughest remaining game. But if you're Penn State, you're like, okay, yeah, but that is actually the whiteout game. And so going to be pretty tough for a team that is undermanned to come in to that environment after the cross-country trip and pull off what would be, again, any of these teams other than Ohio State, USC would be a major upset here to pull off the win against Penn State. But I think Minnesota at home may be able to give USC a pretty decent run for a half. I don't think for 4 quarters Minnesota can stay with USC, but we'll find out.
I mean, if they think that Minnesota is that good, we're going to see this weekend. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and again, it's not that they were saying Minnesota's that good. It's just they're saying of the remaining opponents on the Penn State schedule, that's the toughest
overlooking,
one.
Maryland, overlooking
Purdue, UCLA, and Washington,
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
that's
Wisconsin. I don't know. They're home, by the way, against Purdue this weekend, and Purdue has looked. For as bad as UCLA looks, I would take UCLA over Purdue right now. That Purdue just looks like it may be the bottom feeder this year in football in the Big Ten. And again, there's not a lot. Obviously, can be surprises, and hopefully there are some surprises. Ohio State, by the way, home with Iowa. If that game was at Iowa, I guess I'd consider it a little intriguing. I mean, I still think Ohio State, no matter where those two play, would be very tough to beat. At home, I'll be very surprised if that is, again, a competitive game in the fourth quarter. I think that's one of the 3:30 starts. Yep, that's the 3:30 CBS game.
As you. I could probably talk.
Yep, 3:30 CBS game. But again, there's just not a lot on the schedule to get you fired up if you're a college football fan, other than watching your team go about its business here on Saturday. I think when you look again at the Penn State UCLA game, you're hoping, if you're a Penn State fan, that the Nittany Lions do come out, jump on them early, and this is another game where you can get some of that depth build up, get some guys more playing time, let Bill Prabula kind of take over the running that offense in the second half, and maybe even go with your third team quarterback, Tyler Warren, go and let Tyler run the offense for a few series.
I'm okay with that. It looks like I'm telling you, it reminded me of Tebow on the goal line, dude.
Yeah,
that was crazy what he was doing out there. The left hand, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, one of the
I hope we
things,
don't get to the point where we actually have to put him back there personally. But
one of the things that I love what we've seen to this point in the season with this Penn State team is you do have a couple of really special athletes in terms of the variety of things they can do on the field in Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter. and you're seeing the coaches on both sides of the ball really fully exploit those talents. I mean, you're not you could certainly line Tyler Warren up as just a tight end all game long and get really good results, and nobody would be sitting around going, man, I can't believe they're not getting him back there at quarterback, right? It would make a ton of sense. Everybody would be happy. But I think Andy Kotelnick is like, no, this guy's special, man. Like, we got to be able to get something more out of him. And they have already done that. I think you're going to see even more as this season rolls along. And it's one of the things, again, I keep talking about, but I think you're seeing each week, all right, this little wrinkle has been added there. By the time you get to the Ohio State game or even the USC game next week, there's a ton on film that you can see. But also, you know that Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day are looking at this. Okay, what are they trying to set up? What are some of the other things we've got to be wary of? That is a lot to put on the minds of your players in terms of preparation. Now, can USC throw a lot on the film, and it's Penn State going to have a lot to be thinking about? Yep, and certainly Ohio State. My gosh, the different ways that team can beat you this year, kind of mind-boggling. But you have to account for Abdul Carter if you're an offensive player, offensive lineman, or quarterback. You better know where Abdul Carter is. Problem is, you don't. Like, you got to come up and see, oh, all right, this play, look at that. He's in the middle of the defense, a little bit off of the line. Oh, this one, he's over here on this side. And so you can't really go in with the scheme that, okay, we're just going to stay away from Abdul Carter, because you got to identify where he's at on a given play first. And the other part of that problem is you have a Zane Durant stepping up the way he did on Saturday night, and you have denied Dennis Sutton sitting over there when Abdul is on the line. It's like, okay, yeah, let's run away from Abdul. Yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you. And now you're seeing Kobe King and Tony Rojas both really comfortable now, understanding the game, playing with instincts, and that skill set is now on full display for this defense. I think it's just going to be fun as a fan to watch how this defense continues to evolve, the different packages that they can use against different teams, and now you have that running game for Penn State has been very impressive to this stage of the season. And you have two big-time running backs in Nicholas Singleton, if we ever find him, and Katron Allen. And you have Drew Aller, who has really had some nifty runs this season, Goon. On top of everything else, he's obviously not your running quarterback, but you can't go to sleep if you're a defense you better be accounting for him in terms of the running game. Obviously, when Bo Prabula and or Tyler Warren come in, and listen, they also have the ability now to get the receivers involved in that, the running portion of the game as well, with end arounds and that sort of thing. It is fun to have the variety of options that this offense has. And again, Tyler Warren is the big X factor, and then Abdul Carter is the big X factor defensively. But again, you have a lot of different guys that can beat you a lot of different ways on both sides of the ball. And I just think it is going to give Penn State a chance to be one of the Final Four standing when we get to the semifinals of the playoffs. I don't think it's like a crazy out of this world notion that Penn State could be one of those four teams. I think a lot has to happen between now and then for that to get there. I don't know that I'd feel overly confident in saying, yep, Penn State's going to be one of those four. But I can see this thing coming together, Goon, where, at the end of the day, with the way that front seven is playing and defensively, and with the different ways they can beat you offensively. And by the way, the receiving core keeps coming along. It's not, I'm not going to put up there as one of the great receiving cores in all of the country right now, but it keeps coming along. It keeps giving you more reason to believe that things are okay there. And they keep taking their shots downfield. They keep getting the consistent plays when Aller gets the ball there. And Aller just looks much more confident than he did a year ago. Still has a couple of misses pretty much each game. You're like, man, I'd like to get that back. But he also is making some throws now, Goon, where you're like, ooh, okay, that is big time. That is special. And get maybe 2 or 3 throws a game cleaned up. You're talking about one of the top end quarterbacks in all of the country. Now, will he do it in the clutch if need be against USC or against Ohio State? To me, that's still, you got to see it in those situations to feel good about it is kind of where I'm at. I'm going to trust that once I see it, much the way I'll trust that Penn State can get a field goal when it needs it from 40 yards in once I see it. But you certainly like the progression that you've seen to this point from Drew Aller. And I love the body language as much as anything. And I like the throws. I like the zip. I like the touch that he's had when needed, throwing the long ball. I mean, it's all been there. But as much as that, Goon, I love the body language this year. He just looks like, yep, I'm the guy. I got this. And I don't think there's anybody worried, including Drew Aller, when Prbula comes in, that, does this preclude something? And it seemed last year, and I don't know, but it seemed my interpretation of why Jurisic wasn't putting Prbula in there more was he felt this was going to undermine Drew Aller's belief that this was Drew Aller's team. I don't think Drew Aller has any doubt whether Prbula or Warren get spot snaps here or there. He knows this is his team, and when he goes out there, he is projecting that this is his team.
I'm sure I'm not the only one to think this, but it's also, he sort of had this, he played great the first 6 or 7 games last year, like we're talking about right now, but it's the Ohio State and Michigan games where he came up, in his own words, he came up lame. I don't see that happening this year because I do think that he does have that confidence in himself. I think Kotelnicki has the confidence in him. But, I mean, let's go back. I want to go back a little bit and say the reason why this offense is working so well is this offensive line. I mean, yeah, Tyler Warren is playing great, but he's also beating the tar out of defensive ends. I don't know if you've watched him block. He's hammering dudes. Like, his run and passing it's ridiculous. He's going to be a top 2-3 round pick this year for sure. But our offensive line is taking it upon themselves to be it. Like, I think that Doc has these guys thinking like, no one respects us. We got to go out and take it. And they're just going out there and they are just being super, super physical. I mean, I'm watching that game last week. And again, my biggest fear was us going into that game was Illinois making that into a dog fight. And I don't know, historically, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, we haven't been there as, for dog fights in the offensive front. And our guys were looking for fights last week. And I mean, the way our offensive line played and then the chip they have on their shoulder and the fact that you have Singleton and Aller, and Keatron Allen out there, I mean, the sky is the limit. You got it all going right now. And all that's going to do is opening up the pass game. If our run game is going to be that dominant, they got to bring the safety down. And guess what that does? That opens up the middle of the field for our receivers. They don't need it. They need – our receivers are the weak point of the offense. And there's no one – I mean, I'm not, telling you anything that no one knows. Everybody knows that that's the weak point of our offense right now is our wide receiver. But the only way that helps out is if we can run the ball and they make the defense have to stop the run, then it opens up the pass game. That's Dak Prescott 101. And I think that Aller is looking more and more like that. If you can run the ball, the play action pass in the middle of the field is just unbelievable. And it will pay dividends in the near future.
Well, and I do think that is, to me, it feels like that is the difference between this year's team, this year's Penn State team, and the last couple of years, is the overall physicality. And you're absolutely right. It starts up front.
Sure.
But Goon, it's not just up front. As you said, Tyler Warren, there is not a more complete tight end. I don't sit around and watch all of the tight ends around the country. I am just telling you, it's not possible for there to be a more complete tight end than Tyler Warren. There might be other guys that are playing as well. I'd have to see it to believe it, but there's nobody that could be playing better in terms of he catches everything that's thrown to him. I think he's only had one that touched his fingers that he didn't catch this year, and that was would have been a unbelievable catch. I mean, it wasn't a, oh man, that went right off of his hands. It like grazed his fingertips. It's like, okay, like the dude catches everything he should catch and makes some that he shouldn't. And you're right. He is punishing.
Yes, he is.
It's not just that he's making his assignments on the blocks. It is that he is doing it
You don't realize
with authority.
his size, because he's playing next to just ginormous people.
Yes.
Our tackles, I mean, are enormous.
And there's nobody,
Our line is enormous. They're
no
out
tight end
235.
throwing a better ball than Tyler Warren
No doubt about that.
this season. Now,
But Tyler is every bit of 6'4", 6'5".
but listen,
He doesn't look like it.
Here's the other thing is, so that physicality is there. Nicholas Singleton, and we highlighted it on Tuesday, and if you go back and look, if you haven't seen, I think by this point every Penn State fan has gone back and looked at it with pride. By the way, how much would you want to be Nicholas Singleton if we ever find him again? When he was in the film room and you're breaking down the game, how much would you like to be Nicholas Singleton as you listen to the coaches and your teammates go, wow, wow, wow. I mean, when he chips the guy, then makes the catch and then bowls over, like if you're looking for one play that to explain the physicality of this year's Penn State offense, that is it. But you're getting that from Katron Allen consistently. You're getting it from Nicholas Singleton. You're getting it from Julian Fleming and the receivers. I mean, Fleming has had some big time hits this season.
He comes as he talks. I mean, they talked about him, and I told you, my friends at Ohio State said Marvin Harrison does not have those long runs last year without Fleming blocking for him downfield. He's devastating.
And listen, there were a couple of plays for as good as Penn State's running game was on Saturday night, and it was really good. There were at least 3 runs, 2 by Singleton and 1 by Allen, where we were a whisker away. I mean, like, man, just one more step, and they were gone on long touchdown runs. And part of that is because of the downfield blocking as well. At some point, they're going to break a couple more of those for the longer runs. Again, the running game has been fantastic as is. You can see it. They are that close to getting a couple of game-breaking plays where then instead of 21-7 against a good team like Illinois, now you're looking at 35-7. Maybe instead of a 24-17 type of game with USC, now all of a sudden it's 38-17. Like, those are backbreakers when you're in bigger games down the road.
Oh, I mean, Kijana Carter does not have the year in 1994 without Bobby Ingram, Kyle Brady, and Freddie Scott down there. And that is a mark of Kenny Jackson. Kenny Jackson was one who came in and said, he was a first-round pick in the NFL, All-American wide receiver at Penn State. He didn't have a great NFL, but he played with Mike Quick with Philadelphia. So he had to learn how to block downfield. And that's how he stayed in the league 6-7 years. Fast forward, he comes back to Penn State and starts talking to us and say, hey, you got to block downfield. You want to stay on this field. Goes to the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's Hines Ward's head coach or his position coach. And he tells Hines Ward, you are not going to make this team as a receiver. It's not going to happen. You need to do all these little things well, and that starts with blocking. Hines Ward was a quarterback.
He took it to heart.
He was a quarterback at Georgia.
Yep.
There's a guy who learned from Kenny that you have to go, you got to be able to block downfield. And this guy might go in the Hall of Fame not because he's a great wide receiver, who's a great teammate who blocked his ass off downfield.
And made physical
those
receiver.
20-yard runs into 40-yard runs, and those 40-yard runs into long touchdowns.
Knocked into the sidelines with a
thing.
smile on his face the entire
he
time.
did.
Take a break here. You are listening to WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. This is the Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube. A wonderful place to be if you're looking for somewhere to go this weekend to get ready before or after the game, or if you're not going up to the game and you want to enjoy it with some friends, come on down to Quaker Steak and Lube. Again, all of the football action, baseball action, all of the sports action on all of the TVs down here. Great food, great beverages, and outstanding service. Again, we are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show after this on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on an absolutely picturesque Thursday afternoon in the Valley of Happiness. Again, expecting the weather to be much the same for Saturday's noon kickoff between Penn State and UCLA.
It's exactly the weather Saturday.
Yeah, well, we'll take it.
Oh,
sign me up for that,
man.
dear Goon.
Holy heck. I'm telling you, my buddy just moved here 6 months ago. And he goes, man, I forgot it was Seattle around here at times. I mean, I think it was been raining the last 14 days. It's the longest in 20 years it's rained here.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy, right?
Well, you're crazy, but not
true.
because of that.
Yeah. Very true.
Again, 56 years since UCLA made the trip to Happy Valley. And
imagine that 56 years ago.
It will be, I'm guessing there aren't a lot of UCLA fans that made that trip that will be making this one.
Well, I've been asking people, do you know any UCLA football fans?
Yeah, I don't think I do. Like, not where that's their first. I mean, there might be. I have friends. I kind of pull for
people
UCLA
who are Oregon fans.
here
They like
there,
Oregon because of the uniforms and this and that. I know people who like Washington because of Steve Etman and some of their uniforms and some of their teams they've had. USC is USC. But UCLA football, I don't know anybody who was a fan. I really don't.
Yeah.
I had this guy in Philadelphia who was a monster USC fan.
It's not exactly a great time to be. I mean, there's lots of room on the bandwagon, but not exactly a great time to be jumping on that bandwagon.
58 years ago, so 1960-something was when they flew here. I mean, it was the 60s, so they were flying. But, I mean, do you imagine how hard it was to get to State College?
Would not have been an easy trip.
And they won. Because Booch said they played 6 games. Penn State won the first and last
Well,
ones.
they didn't. I don't think they won the last one here.
No.
But
so they lost the first and the last. But I don't know which games at Penn State. But I bet you the away team lost most of them. That's a jeez. I mean, I'm telling you, I remember the BYU game in 1992, and I couldn't believe how hard of just crap it was getting in and out of here and getting there. I've told you about my buddy from USC. I played with him in the Senior Bowl, and he told me he was talking about literally the worst day of his life. I said, what was that? He goes, we played you guys in State College in 1994. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, we had to fly in 5-6 hours the day before or 2 days before. They couldn't fly into State College. They had to fly into Harrisburg because our airport wasn't big enough in the 90s. So they had to fly into Harrisburg on their big private jet, take buses to State College through the Harrisburg on a Friday afternoon. That's always fun. You know, remember that traffic from back in the day before all the bypasses were created.
Yeah.
And then they go out and it's 35-0 at halftime, and they end up losing like 38-10, I think the final score was. And they had to get back on the bus, drive down to Harrisburg after a game, like there's no game traffic in 1994. I mean, you imagine that? And then they got on our private jet and had to fly back 6 hours. He said it was the longest, worst day of his life. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh, my God, that's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, so UCLA was 2-1 in the series. Again, they played 63 through 68, and they were 2-1 at home and 2-1 in State College. So Penn State is 1-2 here at home against UCLA all time. And again, all of the games back in the 60s. So last trip to State College for UCLA, again, coming in 1967. So 57. I think I said 56. That's the last time they played. 57 years ago. Yes, that's even pre-me coming into existence.
Holy crap, man.
That is a long, long time ago.
Long tooth, Ironhead. Long tooth.
Yep. So, listen, I'll speak for myself. I do kind of wish that UCLA had a better team this year, just because it is still a name brand, and it would be, I guess to some degree, it'll still be a fun game, maybe more so you could argue, because Penn State should go out and whoop up. It's just, I don't know. I wish it was a game that you could get a little more excited about. Hey, I want to see how Penn State matches up against this team. Again, this isn't Kent State bad, but this is pretty bad that what UCLA is bringing in here on Saturday. And again, I'm expecting that their quarterback is not going. Garbers did not practice Monday through Wednesday this week. And so that makes an already
bringing in Tom Brady. How do we know?
Yeah, really brutal brutal scenario for UCLA get that much tougher here on Saturday. But from the Penn State perspective, Goon, one of the things that I think will be interesting is, you have to believe UCLA comes into this game saying, we've got to stop the run. Our only chance is to, if not stop, at least limit. We're gonna try to do everything we can to slow down, at the very least, Singleton and Allen. My guess is that Penn State would like to come out. There were a lot of people predicting last week that Drew Aller was going to have his breakout game, if you will, against Illinois. And while he was fine, it wasn't a breakout game. Correct. What I'm wondering is, I don't think it's going to be necessary Saturday, but I'm wondering if you actually do see it at least early, meaning that Penn State will take some shots downfield because they're going to be there. I don't mean that they're out there trying to get the stats up for Aller. I'm expecting UCLA to come in and say, listen, we got to sell out to stop the run. We don't have much of a chance here, but our only chance is to do that. And in the process, I think that field is going to open up for Aller and the receivers early, and I think Penn State will take advantage. And I'm expecting that at least first half numbers are going to be pretty substantial here for Drew Aller. That's kind of what I'm anticipating with Saturday's game. You buy it or not?
I would love Aller to go out there and kick the crap out of them as fast as they possibly can and get them out of the game.
Well,
get our
I
starters
think
some rest.
Yeah, I think you want, from the Penn State perspective, a clean first half. And when I say clean, I mean no turnovers, no kicking the ball out of bounds, no pre-snap penalties.
And by the way,
I don't mean no penalties, period.
Not harping on these guys about the fast start, the hangover, the slow. Hey, the crowd's not going to be as crazy as it was last week. We need to build our own. He's talking about that.
No, for sure. And the coaches are as well. And again, it's one thing to say all that and preach all that. And I think you're absolutely right. It's another to be able to go out and actually do it when you get into the stadium and you see the different atmosphere from last week to this week. And again, the fans, I'm hoping will be out there and will bring it. They're not going to bring it the way they did Saturday night. No. It's just, that's not what's going to be there for a noon kickoff against a 1-3 UCLA team. You're not getting the same atmosphere you had for the whiteout energy game against Illinois and a 4-0 ranked team coming into Beaver Stadium.
My wife gave me some crap, by the way, about the TV show on Monday night.
Yeah.
And I said, I had some friends who told me that they read the email wrong and they heard blackout energy.
Oh, boy.
And Carrie was like, you can't talk about that on a players show and this. And I'm like, why not? The players weren't there. They weren't part of the show as of yet. But
I think the players are pretty aware that there
was definitely some guys.
There are some folks.
I'm not going to say it was the 94 guys, but I'm just going to say that there were some people on our tailgate who misread the email.
Uh-huh.
And that energy was bought, and they just didn't bring the right color.
I don't think it's a great secret to the players that there may be some consumption going on around their games on Saturdays.
Yeah,
I mean, don't think you're breaking news to them.
That's what I want to see. I want to, and by the way, our fans are great. I love our fans. And I hope that they treat UCLA with as much respect as they possibly, because this is their first time here. And then I go back to this all the time. And that is, our fans are great because they'll be great to UCLA fans because they don't have a reason to hate UCLA fans. I have always said we have a great rivalry with Iowa right now. But there's a lot of angst in that rivalry now. 20 years ago, it was like, hey, man, those people from freaking Iowa are really, really nice people. But then they beat us when we're number one in the country. Then we beat them when they were in the top 10 in the country. They beat us again when we were top 5 in the country in the rain up here. Remember that? And then people remember those, and they're like, you know what? Screw Iowa. You know what I mean? That's where
we've had enough of you guys.
We love you, but there's those games that we don't want to talk about. But that's where I'm at. I mean, with our fan base, and that's just not our fan base. It's just fans in general. And people are like, oh, man, how could people treat people with disrespect? And I'm like, I will see UCLA fans walking through the parking lot. And I'm going to say, hey, will you come have a drink with us? Please, would you like something to eat? That's just how I was raised.
Yeah.
How you're taught. This is welcome to State College. How are you being treated? What do you need? Do you need anything? Do you need to go anywhere? Do you need to see anything? What are you looking for? That type of thing.
Yeah.
But if UCLA comes in and beats us, and then we go out there and they beat us again, 3 years from now when they come in here, there's not going to be any kind of like, hey, how you doing, guys? How are you? Everybody always says, well, we were great to fans for Temple, West Virginia, Pitt, or not the Pitt, but Temple, West Virginia, Syracuse. We're always like, oh, they were great. We always used to have great times going there. Because I was like, yeah, because we won all the games. We didn't have reasons to hate Temple, Syracuse, and West Virginia.
I will
once
say,
or twice.
I will go shake as many hands of their fans as I can find on Saturday if they come
Your
in
hand
here
will not be tired.
and win this game
I think it's
against
pretty
Penn
cool
State.
that if you watch a lot of the Big Ten stuff, they'll show like in the meetings this summer, and they were like, hey, what venue are you most looking forward to playing?
Yeah.
All the UCLA guys were like, I cannot wait to go to Beaver Stadium.
Yeah. No, they have it
think that's
circled. They
freaking
really
awesome.
do have it circled on their calendar. And I am curious to see how many fans come in. And again, it'll be a hearty congratulations. It'll be bitter disappointment, like the likes of which I truly, literally cannot fathom, because this is a UCLA team that has no business even keeping this game close.
I think that Chip Kelly knew that, by the way, when he resigned as of last year. Don't you think? You think he saw the writing on the wall and was like, I'm going to get fired next year, or do I try to take a Ohio State job? Or do you think he just hated the NIL that much?
I think it is more the former, and a little bit the latter. But yeah, I would say more the former.
Looking forward to it, though. I love when new people come into town here. I
I'm with you.
And you see them and you say, hey, what can I help you with? What do you need? What are you looking for? You're looking for what do people do? I don't know where I've never been to the creamery. You know that, right? I've told you this before. I've never been in the creamery.
Which is just absurd.
I've eaten a lot of
I know.
Well, I gotta park the car, Carrie, I'll drop you off. You go in and get the food. I'll wait out here. I gotta watch the car,
Yeah.
But I've never actually been in.
Understood. A couple of other just quick notes here on the Penn State front. Penn State women's volleyball back in action tonight. The Nittany Lions are ranked third in the country, 12-1, 2-0 in the Big Ten play. They'll host Maryland tonight at 6, and then we'll host a big one tomorrow night against Oregon.
Ooh.
I think the Ducks are ranked 11th in the country, and that'll be an 8 o'clock start tomorrow night. Both matches at Rec Hall, but both matches also televised by the Big Ten Network.
I do want to say this, speaking of women's volleyball, great to see Joe Vicious there last week. I haven't seen Joe Vicious in probably since he was in school.
Yeah.
Honestly. He got, left here unceremoniously. He left here under very bad circumstances. He failed out, and that's what he did. And then he goes to the NFL, has a successful career.
Very
I know
successful.
He had a little angst against Penn State because, if I will just say this, his young child died, newborn child. He died in this and that. And I think that he had a little bone up his butt because nobody from Penn State reached out to see how he was doing. And I thought about that. I don't know that for sure, but this is what I was told back in, a couple 10, 20 years ago, and that was why he doesn't come back here because of that. But I'm happy to see that his daughter she's freaking good. I mean, she's really
very good.
And seeing him to get back into the fold last week, seeing him there, and it's just like everything else. You do not realize how big that man is until you stand next to him.
Yeah.
He is 6'5".
Oh, I haven't seen him lately,
he had a
but
42-inch
I
vertical leap, and
remember
you're
covering.
like, this is not legal.
Yeah,
How can this be legal? And I played in a celebrity basketball game with him. I don't know if I've ever told you that before, but it was just like, just get the ball and throw it up in the air, and Joe's going to come grab it from 16 feet away and then maneuver and then dunk the ball on somebody. It was unbelievable what he used to do athletically. So it was great to see him last week. He's one of the guys I didn't mention the other day that I had seen. So great to see Joe. Happy he's back in the Penn State fold.
Yeah.
So
no, that's
And his daughter
They're great
is
in all
a damn
counts.
good volleyball player.
I'll tell you, this team is something special. And they have something cooking here. It's going to be interesting. I was watching the Big Ten Network. I forget now if it was. I think it was last weekend, and I think they were getting a little carried away. But the one analyst was like, it is really hard, like darn near impossible these days to go undefeated in the Big Ten. But she's like, if there's a team that can do it, it's Penn State. Like, don't be shocked. And listen, I think this is a great Penn State team. The talent that is there in the Big Ten this year, I don't think anybody's going undefeated in the Big Ten. Yeah. I think Penn State is in contention for a national championship. I mean, I think it is that good of a team. I still don't. You're not going and winning all of the road matches in conference play this year. Somewhere along the way, you're going to have a night where you're a little off. And these gyms now, with the top 10 teams, are, if not at capacity for a matchup with another top 10 team, they're darn close to it. Somewhere along the way, I'm just telling you, Penn State is going to lose at least a match in conference play. I'm not trying to bring anybody down. It's just that conference is too good for anybody to get through. But the fact that you have analysts even talking about that possibility with this Penn State team tells you, yep, this is a team that others are recognizing is among the best in the country for sure.
What year was the Hermana that when they didn't lose a set?
Yeah, that was.
I mean, that's just insane.
It is.
Like that's
bonkers.
That's one of those.
And by the way,
50,
Pitt, I haven't followed them the last couple of weeks, but through the first 3 weeks of the season, that's what Pitt was doing this year. Like that, they got off to that kind of a crazy good start. Yeah, they were very, very impressive. I'm glad Penn State had that match at that time of the year, because no matter what happens the rest of the year, like that's still got to be in the back of your mind. It's like, yeah, well, there's somebody out there. It's just like in any sport. I think when you start rolling, it's always good to get not necessarily a loss. You don't need a loss, but you want to get that big test that shows, you know what, you're doing really well, but yep, there's somebody else out there that's equal to you. And in that case, yeah, Pitt absolutely controlled it that night. But I think getting that match at that stage of the season, seeing what Pitt is about, all right, these are some things we need to go back to work on to get there. I think that's going to pay dividends long term for this program and for this team this season yet. But anyways, if you get a chance to go up to Rec Hall either tonight or tomorrow night, check out some great Penn State women's volleyball action. Penn State men's soccer will have Maryland. We'll have UCLA tomorrow night in an 8 o'clock kick at Jeffrey Field as well. And a chance to get back to the 500 mark, both overall and in Big Ten play this season.
Well, there's my question right there, Head.
Yeah, what's your question?
Does USC throw the women's volleyball team on a commercial on the private jet with the football team? It would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would make sense.
But it's not going to happen. You know as well as I do.
Imagine that that's what happened, but it would make a lot of sense.
I would think.
Although they'd be missing, from an economic standpoint, it would make a ton of sense.
So they would, the girls, both teams would have been here yesterday.
Yeah, which
could have happened. I don't know. I cannot believe.
And both would leave Saturday night. Late afternoon.
Yeah, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6-hour flight home at midnight, back 3 hours. They're home at 9 p.m. It would be the smart move.
That would be very smart.
You know what? I'll tell you what the old man would say. You're not thinking about the game. You're thinking about talking to these girls. He'd probably have 2 separating rooms. He'd have like a partition going with the girls' volleyball team up front. He'd probably give them the first class and have all the mutant football players in the back. So, I mean, that would be a smart move to do that, but I'm sure that they
Yeah, it would be. It would make economic sense, that's for sure. All right, we're going to take a break here. We are back with a final segment on our Thursday edition pre-UCLA. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
Hello, Jeffrey. This is the Goon and Ironhead show.
We are back
completely
indeed.
miffed right here
Yeah,
because our friend Alan is here.
Yeah.
And he said he is working with the UCLA team, and they're, like I said, when Penn State goes out to UCLA or Penn State goes out to Indiana, they give you a couple guys that work for the university who will help out, unlock the locker room, make sure everything's okay. Hey, you forgot this, I'll take care of it type of stuff.
Yep.
Alan just brought up some freaking unbelievable information. I'm not information, but like the logistical nightmare of a West Coast team getting east. And that is exactly what we're going to go through this week. So when we travel to an away game, was it United? Is that who does Kevin Briscoe? What's Hoy Transfer? Our 18-wheelers, they load up the trucks and they drive all of the equipment out. Helmets, shoulder pads, pants, all this stuff.
Yep.
All the sideline gear, all the headsets, all of the bikes and all this and all that, the fans, the heaters, the benches, all that stuff. So that all has to go out to an away game. Hey, buddy, guess what? We're in Los Angeles next Saturday. So Alan was saying, well, UCLA is going to get here tomorrow afternoon at like 3 o'clock. They have a walkthrough at the university out on the field. So they'll be here by then. And I was like, I wonder when their truck's going to get here. And then I started thinking about this, Head. When the hell does our truck leave to drive? Because you can't fly this equipment. We're going to have to leave Sunday or Monday to get to LA because that's not a day trip. So Kevin and Hoy Transfer are going to have to leave Sunday or Monday with all of the game equipment. And now I'm thinking to myself, well, what the hell are they going to wear for practice Monday through Thursday? And I'm sitting there, wow, I guess this new Big Ten, you're going to need two. You're going to need a game uniform, a game helmet, pads, all that stuff. Some teams do. Oregon has got 19 different helmets. Maryland has 19 different helmets. You know what I mean? But we don't. We have our helmet, our shoulder pads, our pants, our cleats that you wear for practice. They clean them up Friday, and you're ready to go Saturday. But if this truck is leaving on Sunday or Monday to get to LA to have all of that stuff, I mean, I'm not even thinking about this, but on the way back, I guess we have a bye week the next week, but you would almost go 2 practice weeks if we had a game next week at home after USC, I'm saying. We have a bye, but if we had, that truck is going to take 5 or 6 days to come back too. So you would go 2 weeks without your practice uniforms and practice helmets and practice pants. So they must have multiple helmets and multiple uniforms for these guys. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And I didn't even think about that. Holy crap.
Yeah, you'd have to.
So I bet you UCLA's truck left Sunday night or Monday and just had to drive straight through probably 4 days.
I am surprised they're not getting in until tomorrow afternoon.
Everybody's going to be. It's going to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They just got to learn. They just got to say, okay, we can't do that again. You know what I mean?
That's my guess. I think that's a really tall ask of the kids and of the program, because if you get in here again at whatever it is 3:30 and then you do your walkthrough at Beaver Stadium, you're going to be trying to go to bed earlier. I mean, I don't know what their schedule is, obviously, in terms of, but you would think they're going to be trying to go to bed around 10 o'clock here.
Sure.
Because, again, I am presuming they're going to have to be
Stadium, be at the stadium probably 9 o'clock.
Right.
On Saturday.
And so you're going to want to get up and get breakfast ahead of time, right? And get everything together. You're not going to be wanting everybody rushed. So I don't know. That just seems like,
well, it figures just if they go to bed at Eastern at midnight, get to bed, guys. We're leaving here. We're going to bed at midnight. We're going to be at the stadium at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And actually, it's 9 p.m. for them. No one's going to, a college-age kid is not going to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night.
Not many of them, that's for sure.
I know who does, me.
I'm right there with you.
Unbelievable. And then they have to get up be at the stadium at 9. So that means they got to be at least bed in their room at 8 Eastern time. They're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning which is 3 a.m. Holy crap.
Yeah, I think that's asking a lot of a team that's already up against it just on sheer talent. And
I wonder, has any of the other 3 West Coast teams played on the Far East yet? As in Maryland, Rutgers, Penn State? I know they've played up at Michigan.
Well,
I guess that's Eastern time too, so I wonder if UCLA had called, because USC played at Michigan. I wonder if UCLA would call Michigan and be like, hey, how did you handle that? I bet you they haven't. They just don't like each other or anything but.
Well, Washington traveled to Rutgers, right? Was that game at Rutgers?
If that's, geez.
Yeah, I don't know.
The more I think about it, I think USC to Rutgers would be the farthest trip, because Oregon and Washington I don't think are as far as UCLA and USC. I think Rutgers is as far east as we get, right? And Maryland too. But
no, Rutgers is further.
Oh God! Again, you are asking a lot of your football players to do that, and they knew that going in. That's how much they wanted out of that Pac-12. That's how broke it was. That they knew that they just wanted travel expenses. They had all of this, and they didn't care.
Well, no, because they needed the financial security.
Because they were bankrupt.
That was an easy call
they said,
for them.
Well, and then you were sitting there saying, well, all they did was just take up more costs and stuff like that. And you got to say, how bad was the Pac-12 financially if going into the Big Ten and having to incur all these new costs and new burdens, it's still more beneficial than being in the Pac-12. Yeah. Holy crap, Jeff.
Well, yeah, financially, it just it made a ton of sense.
Financially, yes, it does. But you still got to get your soccer teams to
Maryland,
I think to Penn State, to Rutgers.
I think for a year or two that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to be a long-term thing.
You think
myself.
With the new college football league? What?
I think we're going to see things evolve very quickly here over the next couple of years.
Here soon.
And I think for a lot of sports, you're going to see very quickly us getting back to more of a regional schedule.
So I talked to somebody this week who said they're okay with multiple different conferences for their athletes. So play football in the Big Ten or go away to this new conference. Play basketball at, let's say, Big East. Play hockey in the East Coast. Play soccer in this. And I'm like, well, that doesn't defeat the purpose of having the conference or strength in conference numbers where if you have a down year, you're still getting that same check. And he was trying to argue with me that it doesn't matter as long as all of your sports are in the best conferences for them. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that because what happens? I mean, the reason why the Big Ten conference teams are making so much money is the Big Ten network.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because how this evolves because like Penn State already has different teams in different conferences because there is no Big Ten in some of these sports, i.e., women's hockey, which is kind of hard to believe when you think about it. But anyways, and lacrosse. I mean, there are various teams already that are in other conferences just because there is no Big Ten for those sports. Now, where the Big Ten conference has the sport as a conference sport. Obviously, Penn State is in it. I think there's a lot of potential down the road for things to change, but exactly how they change still remains to be seen. I still think it is likely, and the more I'm talking to other people in the know, the more I think that this is the path we're heading down, which is we're going to have smaller schools that are quote unquote big time. I think we'll still have big time lacrosse, and I'm using air quotes with big time, but it's going to be like 20 schools, 30 schools, maybe in some sports, maybe a few sports where it's like 40 to 50 schools. But then there's going to be kind of that second tier, kind of what we thought of as 1AA, where, they're not full scholarships. So we're not going 30 scholarships for wrestling and 40 or whatever it is for baseball and all of that. But it's like, our schools will commit anywhere from 8 to 14 scholarships for wrestling, or substantially reduced from what the big boys and big girls will do. But still opportunities for high school kids to go and become part of a college program. But what I don't know So if that is how it evolves, how does that money get split up? And that's still, because again, the one thing that I think people aren't fully appreciating, maybe, at least in the conversations I'm having, Goon, is outside of football and men's basketball, like you have athletes demanding. I mean, this kind of started with, was it Harvard? One of the Ivy League schools is what kind of got this whole thing going in terms of the unionization. But it's like, you're not making money. And what the courts ruled is it doesn't matter. You're treating them as employees, and they need to be permitted the opportunity, therefore, to make money. What I think some people still aren't fully appreciating is, again, football and basketball are generating revenue for their universities. So those are people that they're going to get paid because they can rightfully argue, well, we're bringing the money in. None of the other sports, there might be a handful here or there, but I mean, basically none of the other sports at any of the other universities. Again, there may be an exception here or there, an outlier, but I mean, we're not talking more than 5 or 6 programs, if that, anywhere in the country that aren't men's basketball or football that are bringing in revenue. Where you're having athletes demanding now, in some cases, demanding that they be paid. Well, they're demanding to be paid for money that they are not bringing in. Like, how many businesses do you know where the employees get paid for not generating revenue? These are great athletes. The efforts are there. I'm not disparaging the athletes. What I'm telling you is the financial model here that doesn't sustain itself. No. There is not very long that you can pay an employee to do a job, even if they're doing a great job. If it is a job that is bringing in no revenue for your company, and the result of their efforts is bringing in no revenue for your company, you're not keeping that employee, no matter how hardworking, likable, wonderful you think they are. It doesn't make sense. And that's where I think this thing is going to fall apart, as it is, because eventually, and in some cases, I think it'll be out of the gate. And we keep using the $22 million as though that's a set number. That's, again, just the offer, the proposal that's been made. But just for the purposes of this argument, again, let's say that the schools all agree and the athletes all agree, yep, $22 million. Well, that revenue is being generated by men's basketball and by football. And what schools are going to be asked to do, I think many of them largely will do this, is, all right, now you got to split that revenue, not necessarily equally, but you've got to split that revenue among all of your student athletes. Well, at some point, I think fairly quickly, it is going to be pointed out, hey, we're spending money on these athletes that aren't bringing in revenue for our university or our athletic department, and we're not spending as much as we could be on these athletes who are. Well,
now, meanwhile, who are paying for these so-called scholarships that these players have? Men's and women's lacrosse, men's and women's field hockey, all this type of stuff. Again, it goes back to who was bringing the money in.
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to say, you can just use wrestling. Wrestling is as high a pinnacle of sport as you got at Penn State in the country. It's a non-revenue sport, and they don't make money. They have to spend $75,000 on each student on their 10 scholarships, which is now up to what? 33?
Well, you're permitted 30.
I mean, that is a huge,
it's crazy
number that you literally just tripled your tuition money. Will they go? I mean, that guy's will they look to go to 30?
I think Penn State probably will.
Wow.
But part of this, this is where, again, the disparity is just going to grow even greater, because in these non-revenue sports, even than it is in football and basketball, where, again, that disparity between the halves, like in Ohio State, you want to look at what Ohio State's budget is versus even in the Big Ten, like a Purdue or a Rutgers. Well, it's not comparable.
No.
But even a greater disparity is going to occur, and we can use wrestling, but like Oklahoma State, Penn State, Iowa, not even in the same ballpark, like nowhere near the same ballpark as like Lock Haven, Cleveland State, any of the MAC schools. Those schools aren't providing 30 scholarship opportunities. Many of them, in fact, I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know if any of them were providing the 9.9.
Yeah, I'm with you.
As it was. Well, so now that disparity, so again, 9.9 to 5 is a big disparity. And Lock Haven, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's around there. That's 30. A big disparity. That's almost double the scholarships. Well, you take that and now you're going to 30. Now it's 6 times the scholarships. So now where Lock Haven maybe could, hey, if we hit right, we could compete at 2 or 3 weights. Well, maybe you can compete at a weight. Maybe moving forward. If you get a kid that they just love Lock Haven and they get the full ride there. Well, so at some point, again, there are a handful of schools that have the big boosters in those sports. And this is across the board. You can pick women's basketball programs. You can pick lacrosse programs, women, swimming and diving programs, field hockey. There's going to be big money boosters that are, we love our swimming and diving program. I've hit it big. I want us to be big in it, but it's going to be a literal handful. Well, you need more than a handful. I don't know, and this is the other thing that's going to be interesting to see. You don't necessarily need the 134 that are there for football right now, or the 78 that are there for Division I wrestling right now, but you can't have an effective sport for fans to want to come and see if you only have 5 or 6 programs, right? Like you need at least 15, and I think probably more in the 20 to 30 range. Jeez. Well, right now, if, just to stay with wrestling, like Penn State, Iowa, Oklahoma State, those 3 can go big time. Ohio State probably could if it wants to.
Michigan, Minnesota.
There might be a couple of other schools that could if they want to. I don't know enough about the big time donor situation with, maybe there's somebody that wants North Carolina State to be big, remain big in wrestling, or Virginia Tech, or Cornell has done a good job of, but is that really where you're going to invest? I don't know. I think you're going to have a hard time getting to 10 programs in wrestling that would be willing to go all in. And like all in is Oklahoma State, Iowa, Penn State, all in. I'm not sure that you're going to have any other than those 3. Again, you could, maybe Minnesota, maybe Michigan, maybe Ohio State, few other maybes in there. And I think with all of these sports, again, it doesn't work if you only have 4 or 5. It doesn't work if you only have 7 or 8. I don't think. Maybe they come up with a model. Maybe you do a round robin, and maybe it does work. But boy, I think that's going to be tough to sustain long term. So we'll see how all of this stuff plays out. There's a whole lot of uncertainty right now around all of these sports.
Let's get back to this. So you think that a wrestler, let me try to think how, are you going to try and think the wrestling program should be paid as much as the football program, or people will complain about that?
No.
I know
not
it's not
even
a
chance. No.
But will there be people who are saying, well, they
I don't
be
know
paid.
if there will be or not.
Well, lacrosse players
not
should be paid as much as. See,
I
shouldn't use wrestling because you guys do have the wrestling club. So there is that little, but say the Lineman Lion like lacks the lacrosse program.
Yep.
So I'll say of this $22 million, what are they getting out of this? I mean, it's almost like you're getting your scholarship paid for. I know that football players are also, but they're also bringing in $500 million to the university. And this is the adage. It's the old thing that came back with us back in the day, and that was we funded everything.
Oh, yeah.
We still will.
Yeah,
But there's people
absolutely.
who say that all the other sports should get the exact same are absolutely crazy. But that's the way it was back when I was in school.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is I don't think this is going to be sustainable.
No, there's no way. We've been staying for 5 years.
Yeah,
by the
long
way,
term.
I got a Facebook.
How does it get changed, though?
Facebook
That's
memory.
the question. Yeah.
6th year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I told
There we
Carrie,
go.
I said, she goes, what do you think? I said, I was probably like 3 or 4. She goes, COVID was 4 ago. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's hard to get
Yeah. So
mind around that.
6 years we've been doing this crap.
By the way, so real quick, speaking of wrestling, NCAA championships for a bunch of sports. I think 240 or maybe more than that even allocations came out as far as the sites for regional and national events over the course of the next 4 years were released, including wrestling, which will be going back to St. Louis in 2027. And then we'll go to Minneapolis in 2028.
In the football arena.
Yep, U.S. Bank. So it's going to be fun. This is, of course, 2020 was supposed to go to Minneapolis and be at U.S. Bank Field or U.S. Bank Stadium, and COVID canceled that. And then the next round of bidding went out and Minneapolis wasn't on there, and many of us were wondering, oh man, did they just kind of give up on that idea and notion?
Wanted?
And it turns out they did not. Yeah, I think it's really good for the sport.
Talk to me here. What's about the size of the mat?
Yeah, so again, they were going to try this idea in 2020. Now they're doing it in 2028, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not sitting here telling you it's a grand slam automatic win. Really? I think wrestling and all of these sports are smart to think outside the box and to try to create new ways to hype your sport. I think having this in a NFL football stadium, now the way I'm assuming they're going to kind of configure it similarly. But it's just like when they first started to do the basketball games in the domes. It's like, well, give me a break. You're so far away. Yeah, you are. Bring your binoculars, look up on the big screens. But yeah, you are way far away from the court in a lot of those arenas. And certainly if you go to like the Carrier Dome, like that's man, that's crazy.
Okay, well, the Carrier Dome puts that big screen down. So
so they're going to
the field.
Yep, going to cut the field in half, and then they'll put the seating in around it. It'll be interesting to see. Again, I know there's people that are saying it's. There are people that are wondering whether they can get the 35 to 40,000. I think that will be done. I really do. Could be wrong, but I think that will be achieved. And I think it's going to create a ton of interest. And again, maybe it flops. Maybe everybody comes out of it saying, boy, hope they never do that again. They don't have to. But I think it's smart to try it. I think it's going to create all kinds of interest. What's this? NCAA wrestling in an NFL venue? Yep. And I think it's more than worth the try. And I think they will do as good of a job as is possible of working out the logistics for it.
I got your back.
Ahead of time. Yeah, we'll see. I like that they're trying something new, and I like that they didn't give up on the idea after COVID, because it seemed like they might be.
You're right.
At the time. So anyway, something to look forward to, or not. If you're not interested in going to that in 2028, nobody's going to force you. I'll bet they do end up getting 35 to 40,000 that say, yep, I want to check this out in an NFL stadium for the first time, an NCAA wrestling championship. Folks, hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy Penn State, UCLA. Enjoy the weather. Phillies start their playoff run on Saturday. Brewers or Mets? Who do you think they're facing?
Mets.
Who do you want to face?
Mets.
Kind of
Played
think it will
5
be the
games
Mets
in
that
3
you.
days.
Yeah,
And Milwaukee has
at
lost.
some point that's got to catch up.
They've lost how many playoff series in a row? So expect the Milwaukee to just trounce the Mets tonight. So there you go.
And let's go Steelers Sunday night. We'll be back on Tuesday to talk about all of it with you.
Woo.
Until then, be good and be
Coast
safe.
into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going.